Alright, and welcome to our last and final section of the drill axis civilized variations. And this one is called the ZEPHYR Drill. Well, a zephyr, if you don't know, is another term for a westerly wind. And what it is, it's a kind of wind that will kind of feels like a nice summer breeze. And actually it has kind of a feel to it. I think one of the things that best describes a zephyr is in a martial arts movie with Jet Li called Fearless. There's actually two scenes with what I would think to call a zephyr, a westerly wind. There's one where he has just joined a very remote village after his whole family is killed, and he's in a really bad place emotionally, mentally, and he's planting rice with some of the other villagers, and his mind is really not in a peaceful place. So there's this one scene where he's planting and planting and planting, and to him it's kind of like a race or a contest, and because he's very competitive with the martial arts. And all of a sudden he sees that these other guys that he's planting rice with, they've stopped to just, in a way, just smell the roses for a minute. And so they've been working hard, and they just kind of relax there for a second with their eyes closed as the wind moves through, and they're just, experiencing nature and life for a few moments. And then the wind is gone, the zephyr is gone, and then they just go back to planting. And he finds this very strange. But he's with them for a little bit of while, understands their way of life. He learns to find peace. And in one of the other scenes, you see they're planting rice again, and a zephyr has come in, and he's also doing the same experience. He's sharing how it feels to have the zephyr kind of move through him, and it's a really nice, those are good scenes, because you learn a lot from that, about life in general. Just can't rush through life, or you have to understand what your values are. So this one's dedicated to that kind of feeling, where you just have to, relax into life a little bit and just let some things happen. You'll notice with this technique, this method that we're going to do, it's kind of like a tortoise and the hare kind of, and it's not a race, but kind of a moment where this is not a very quick rotation drill axis method. Let me start saying that I wanted to do something that's another variation of the pump drill, and where you have a bilateral force coming off with the chords, but I wanted to do something really different. And a long time ago, when I used to work in a gym, they have the cross-country ski machines, right? You have your feet on them, and they go back and forth, and they have these handles that go back and forth. And for a long time, I used to think, well, you know what? I can convert that energy into a friction fire device. It's like with the fly drill. Remember that? Where I was thinking that, I could convert that I could translate that energy into a friction fire device. Well, this is kind of like the same thing. How would I translate these like bars, these handles going back and forth? Well, you'll see how to do that, how that's done. So these handles are going to replace the pressure bar brace that is on a pump drill. Okay, and in order to also create this variation of a pump drill, I still want centrifugal force. So I want a flywheel, but I've moved the flywheel from the bottom up to the top. Okay, because these handles, the flywheel up top actually clears the way for the handles, as you see. All right. What else can I tell you about this thing? Well, really, that's about it. Now, in order to kind of add the ZEPHYR feel to it, I put on some leather fan blades on the flywheel, just to give it a little bit of a breeze. But really, the feeling of the ZEPHYR comes with how it's not a very quick technique. It's not a technique that you rush through. It's a technique you just kind of have to just persevere with. That just sit there and smell the roses for a minute and just let it happen, kind of thing. All right, hope that's not too deep. So you'll see that I'll make some adjustments along the way, and I did learn a lot from it. But again, you know, it's like this is art of the variation. We're just jazzing, playing with the variables, which is what makes it really fun. All right, so I hope you enjoy it. Here we go. So for our last axis drill method in the civilized variations, for our ZEPHYR drill, I've gotten everything together that I need to put our technique together. So here is the pressure lever brace box, if you recall from the towel drill. Now what we've done here is I've added another wall here, because this used to be open, and this is going to be our base reload. So I cut a section of 2x4, and this is another section of 2x4 which I cut down for the base reload. So as you can see, that's screwed in there. It's not going anywhere. I have some ash handles here for both my spindle and the handles that I'm going to be creating. I have two casters here. The wheels are going to come off in a second, and they're going to end up here, which is why I had to put this extra wall here, because there wasn't one there before. Alright, so the next thing I'm going to be doing is cutting out my spindle, getting that shaped, and fitting it for a spindle reload. And here I have a 2x8 section which I will be making flywheels out of. So I'll be cutting that soon as well. Alright, let's get started on the spindle. Okay, so I've taken this end off one of the handles. Here, I cut it off on the bandsaw. So that was this section right here, and that measures out to be 1.5 inches in diameter. So since this is the bottom, we're doing a reloading spindle. So I took the 7/8 inch Forstner bit and drilled in there, drilled inside 1 inch. So we have a 7/8 inch diameter hole here for the spindle reload that'll go in there. The whole thing is 20 inches long. And what we're going to do with the top is we're going to do a mortise and tendon, just like we did on the Uber drill for the flywheel. So I'll be taking these sections off. This goes down about 4 inches. The flywheel will fit on here. After we cut the flywheel, I'll be cutting out the square. Okay, so let's do that and come right back. Okay, so I've done the spindle. Okay, what I did was I cut and I didn't just quarter it. I put in 8 sides for the bottom for the reloading spindle. You can see there's a hose clamp on there waiting for the spindle reload. I put this to the bandsaw to cut out the square for the mortise and tenon. I rounded the top on the belt sander so that it goes into the copper cap brace and the top of the pressure lever brace box. So the next thing we need to do is work on the flywheel. So I'm going to start shaping and then we're going to cut out the flywheel. Okay, here we go. After second thought, I think that the 2x8 is not going to have enough weight, because what I'm thinking is I do not want any weight on top of the lever. I only want the lever to be there to make it bipolar. So I don't want pressure coming down from the lever. I only want the lever to hold it in place. So what we're going to do in this instance is kind of have it like the rig drill, where with the rig drill the spindle is the weight, is the pressure. So, but in this instance the flywheel is going to be the weight. So I'm just going to take one of the cement weights. This one's 8.8 pounds or 4 kilos. If I need more weight, I'll substitute it for one that's heavier. But I've reshaped the top. You can see it's wider here and thinner here to match the bars here in the hole, and this will fit just like that on top. Alright, so that'll be our pressure. That'll be our weight. Alright. Alright, so now that the flywheel is done, in a sense, I'm going to put my leather blades on here to make it, because it is the ZEPHYR drill, it needs to create kind of a wind. And then we're going to work on our handles. Okay. That are going to transfer the energy to the spindle to make it spin. Alright, so let's do that and come right back. Okay, so I cut the tops off of the ash handle. I cut 2 of them. Okay, and it's 1 foot long, and I just kind of took the sharp edge off with the belt sander, and I put a 3/8 inch hole in there with the 3/8 inch drill bit. And the reason for that is that's going to go through, well, I took the wheels off the casters, okay, and now the axle is going to fit, let's see, through there, like that. Actually, let me turn that around a little bit. And we're going to screw that back on. And these are going to get screwed in right here like this. We're going to attach a cord that goes from the handles to the spindle, and we're going to be working this in the opposite direction, back and forth like this, to spin the spindle. All right. So I'm going to screw these in to the bottom of the box here, to the base, and get the cord set up to the handles and the spindle. All right, be right back. Okay, so I've screwed in the casters to the pressure box. Okay, so here the handles are all set. Now I've drilled a hole through the spindle for the cord. I have to attach the cord to the handles yet, but I'm going to create a spindle reload now for the reloading spindle. So this is some pine, since we have a pine base reload. So I'm going to fit that to there. That's a 7/8 inch square, and then I'm going to round that off. All right, and then I'm going to set up the cord through the handles, and we should be ready for our first attempt. All right, here we go. Okay, so I was giving this a test, and as you can see, the dust is extremely light. Here is the pine spindle reload, and it's 7/8 of an inch, and you can see I took out the dead space center, and I've even changed the weight to 10 kilos, which is 22 pounds. And as you can see, even though I'm getting friction, it's definitely the wrong color, so it's too light. So what I'm going to do is change the base reload and the spindle reload. So I think I'm going to change the base reload to maybe cedar, and the spindle reload to maybe yucca, something like that, and lower its density. Okay? Alright, let me fix that and be right back. Okay, so I've made a base of Western red cedar. I've put in, with a Forstner bit, a 3/4 inch socket hole, and as you can see, it has a notch in it already. It's not mated though. I've gone through a batch of yuccas, some thick ones, and I've chosen one with a fairly thick base. This one though happens to be 3/4 of an inch. So it's too loose for the socket hole for the reload. So what I'm going to do is take some strips of leather, of buckskin, and we're going to force that in there so that it binds. And then we're going to tighten that down with our hose clamp. Okay, so that shouldn't move. So you may notice here I have a nail, and that's helping to hold in the base so it doesn't move. And obviously there's nothing in the notch, except now there's going to be a little bit of jute put in there to fill some of that space. Okay. The weight, which is also the flywheel, is going to be 6.5 kilos or 14.3 pounds. That's going to fit on top of here. Now you notice I don't have the blades on here yet. So once I figure out whether this is actually going to have the proper friction, okay, then if this is the correct weight for the pressure, for the friction, then I'm going to put the blades on this. But first we're going to mate it together, if we can. There, little girl. Now what I have to be careful of is that this doesn't just jump out, because that could be dangerous with this popping out. Although it is connected by the cord, since the cord runs straight through it. So let's see what happens. Yep, see it pop out? I have to be careful how much force I use. I have to get the force just right. See it pop? Have to be careful about that. It has squeaking, which is telling me it doesn't have enough friction. Although I do see it starting to smoke. Oh. Now my spindle reload is very light. It is yucca, so I don't want to destroy it. Jute actually got caught up in there. Okay. Now I'm seeing a very light dust. It's not very dark at all. I'm wondering if I should change the weight to a larger weight. I'm going to go ahead and do that and let's see what happens. So the new weight I'm going to put on is 10 kilos or 22 pounds. That's really heavy. Let's see if this is the one to do the job. The tinder got caught up in everything. I'm just going to leave that out. Because I imagine it's going to get caught at the worst time. You know, the base keeps lifting up. So what I'm going to do is hold that down with a nail. Not that one. Okay. Let's try that again.
I knew that would happen.
I know. Have to be careful, right? let's make some adjustments. So the adjustment that I've had to make in this instance is, in order to keep it from popping up, there has to be a little bit more weight on the lever just to keep it down, unfortunately. So I'm taking the Alexa, pause that. The 4 kilos or the 8.8 pounds, and I'm putting that up here, and I'm starting to get a little bit of darker dust. So just to give you an idea of what's happening down here, you can see it's not smoking yet, but starting to get some smoke now, and it's not popping out of the base. Now, obviously, most of the weight is the flywheel, but there needs to be enough weight on the lever to keep it from hopping up. Just like that.
It's always like that.
Yep. So let's go back. Excuse me. We're getting close. So what I'm going to do is back this up and show you the process. Oh, we have a coal. Surprise, surprise.
It's our first call for that.
Yeah, it is. It is their first call for that. So take that one off. And I didn't even get to put the wings on. So we know this works. Even though I didn't put the wings on yet. Maybe we'll just leave them off. Since it really didn't matter. But if you could picture me just putting some leather flaps on the weight. Maybe I'll just go ahead and do it again anyway. Alright? Be right back. Okay, so I've taken some extra leather, some cow leather, and I've cut 8 fan blades. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to glue those onto the weight back there. And what this is really going to be is kind of a nod, like a shout out to steampunk, because putting this on isn't really going to fill that function of getting rid of smoke and things like that and clearing the air and giving it that real breeze we're looking for. This method, this technique, obviously is a tortoise wins the race over the hare kind of thing. Just kind of have to take it easy and let it go. And the wood, the core 2, the cedar and the yucca, is such a low density that with the pressure, even though it's not a quick speed, it will form a coal. But we're going to do it again just for the fun of it, and we're going to put the fan blades on just as a nod to steampunk, since we're doing fire punk. So let's fire mod our last axis drill technique method, and let's get one more coal in there. Okay, be right back. Okay, so let's give it another shot, and this time we're adding some some accoutrements to the, to the wheel. So here's what I did. I got some plastic that goes under the door for like insulation, and it's, if you make a cross section of it, it looks like a bunch of fins. So I cut them out on my bandsaw, and you can see it's in an L shape. So what I did is I took some epoxy and I put epoxy along one of these fins, and I glued the leather blades to it, and then I took some strips of Velcro and put that on the bottom of the L so that it'll stand, and then I put the other parts of the Velcro on the weight on the flywheel. And so what we do is we take the Velcroed blades and we just attach them like that. So let's go around, put these on. These aren't really going to have the desired effect I was thinking of, but that's fine. Okay. Now, for the base, I put another socket hole next to the old one, and as you can see, the notch on this one is more of a box notch. You can see there's nothing in there. We're going to fit that in there, and we're going to support that again with a nail. So that's going to sit in there. All right. Let's see here. Let's put our flywheel on. Well, this thing's heavy. Again, 10 kilos, 22 pounds. Oh, I knocked one of the wings off. Oh, shucks. Okay. Well, we're gonna go ahead anyway, even with my little mishap there. Okay. Let's lower the lever. And again, we're going to put that little bit of weight on top. The 4 pounds, I'm sorry, 4 kilos, 8.8 pounds up top, just to keep it steady. And you saw the motion before, but this time let's do a little bit of a close-up on the notch, if we can. So you can see there's nothing in there. Get it adjusted here. I think the first thing we're going to do is actually see the whole effect, and then we'll go back to the notch. Okay. I got one fan blade missing because I knocked it off. What's going to happen? So we're getting a little bit of smoke. Take it nice and easy. The notch is starting to fill. It'll be a little awkward with the handles going in front, but get an idea of what's happening. I can smell the cedar. The western red cedar. It's kind of like an incense cedar. And we have a coal. Amazing. And there's our ZEPHYR drill, ladies and gentlemen. Let me carefully take off our spindle, which is very top heavy. Okay. And let me get a hammer. Nail. Take out the board. And there's our coal. Our second one. So, all right then. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is our last axis drill method in the Civilized Variations. And now we are moving on to the linear versions of the Civilized Variations, which I'm finally glad to get to, which means that I'm getting closer to the end of the series, because it's been a long, long road. Alright, so I hope you've enjoyed these, because there's still plenty more to come. And there's plenty more after the linear civilized variations too, because there's a lot of other stuff. So, all right, let's keep going. Good. Okay, very good.